RuPaul's new online bookstore under fire for selling right-wing extremist anti-LGBTQ plus titles. RuPaul's recently launched online bookstore. What? RuPaul Bookstore. Why is there an online... What? Allstora? Is that what it's called? Allstora? Yes, Allstora. A new bookseller with a better split for authors. RuPaul's Bookstore is an expensive drop-shipping operation. I see. I see. Okay. But let's hear it from the queen himself. Of course it is. Yeah, how would you not... Wouldn't it always be drop-shipping? Like, obviously? Do they think online bookstores have a literal physical warehouse that constantly stocks every book in existence? I think that audio should play.
Isn't increasing.
I have co-founded an online bookstore called Allstora.
Nice.
Allstora isn't increasing access to gay books. It's a rainbow capitalist drop shipping operation. And here's how I know. So in their FAQ, they say a bunch of things about how they don't like Amazon, about books getting banned, but the important thing that they say is that they've expanded their catalog from...
What's the difference between a shop and dropshipping then? Dropshipping technically just means that you never hold any of the merchandise yourself. You're basically just a front where you facilitate the transfer of a product from a factory or publisher that makes it or whatever over to, you know, over the delivery. But you don't have any like physical store or warehouse. It usually means that you're basically just a middleman who doesn't do anything other than handle the direct engagement. Are all dropshipping scams? No. Drop shipping does not innately mean that something is a scam. It almost always does, but not innately. There's nothing inherently wrong with being a middleman between a factory and its production and another company, right? Like, for instance, if there's a product that can only be made, like, let's say you have a product that can only be made in, like, a big, complicated factory, and also they're very large and difficult to store. Or maybe even like you can't store them because they have a limited shelf life. Like you would want them to be made and then immediately sent, right? If it, let's say for example that you're like a fashion boutique and you have like a textile mill in Italy that you work with, and when a person orders, you send specifications, requests, and requirements over to a factory that like does the same work than a tailor and so on, and then it gets sent directly to the person who bought it. That would be like a kind of drop shipping because your end of the business doesn't actually hold an inventory. It's a pretty normal thing, like drop shipping. The problem is that in the modern day, drop shipping has been like streamlined and weaponized to an insane point where there are like factories in China making weird little doodads for 0.8 cents per unit, and then there's some like hustle grind set Westerner who's like, yeah, man, here you go, dude. Here, buy my course to learn how to resell these items at 10 times their price or 20 times their price or 30 times their price. And, you know, whatever. Most of the ads you see online these days, especially on Twitter, are drop shipping scams that are being pushed by bot networks that work to front massive profits for people who are basically just like, you know, reselling shit from China, essentially. Dropshipping is really common on, yeah, it's really common everywhere. It's really common on Amazon. It's common on Etsy. It's common on, it's most common in places like Alibaba or, you know, Temu or whatever, because those websites or apps are literally just entirely dropshipping.
3,000 to 10 million titles, which means that they are shipping things from Ingram, which is just the method that every bookstore uses to buy their books. So what they've done is make a website with the entire Ingram catalog on it, and then you can just buy books through Ingram with the added step of giving your money to RuPaul. Means that there's
this is pretty common. Like basically it's just a needless middleman. No, Vaush, people usually dropship items that are sold on Alibaba or Temu. They don't dropship on there. A partial credit. Both of them are dropshipping. Alibaba, Temu, and Amazon do their own dropshipping, and also people will dropship from those places themselves, being the middleman between a middleman and the buyer. It's literally like a multi-tier. It's not even middlemen at that point. It's like the filling of a sandwich. It's like the majority of the process and people involved are the middlemen. skimming a little money off the top as you get your like insanely cheap, easy to break plastic doodad from China.
All kinds of shit on there because they haven't actually been thoughtful about what they're stocking. They just stock literally any book.
Which means that, yeah, they're getting a bunch of like far right anti-trans books.
You can buy anti-woke books. You can buy transphobic books. You can buy books written by Nazis and
So
other
multi-level marketing? No, that's not what multi-level marketing is.
fascists. You can literally buy the Protocols of the Elders of Zion from RuPaul.
That's crazy.
Again, because this is not a queer bookstore, this is a drop-shipping operation with a kind of veneer of progressivity over it. And a lot of the books that they're stocking, they're actually charging way more for than you would get them for from a normal bookstore or other retailer. So
should gay people somehow not be able to engage in capitalism? No, in fairness, what RuPaul is doing here is really shitty. This isn't just like being the middleman between production and the customer. This is just like ripping the content off of another middleman in order to be the double middleman. Like this is scam shit. Like this exists entirely to be another way to skim money off the top, you know?
up here you can see An Archive of Feelings, which is one of my favorite books. You've got the half off member price, which you pay $5 a month for, of $80, or the retail price of $161.
Nice.
But you can buy this same book directly from the publisher for $29.95, like exactly the same book. They say that part of their goal is supporting authors, but they haven't kind of clarified anywhere on the website, and I really did look through it, about what their split with the authors is that is any larger or different to the standard split that the author would be getting through any bookstore buying it from Ingram. So this...
Also, I'm not sure like how much value there really is in offering an extra split if you're doing it by skimming more off the top. You know what I mean? Like you're like, ultimately that's just coming out of the customer's pocket, which is kind of disingenuous. But without further clarification,
this is a scam. This is completely fake. This is completely nothing. This won't actually do anything to increase access to queer literature. What it will do, because of their membership, where they sell books for less expensive, is undercut brick and mortar retailers, undercut actual queer booksellers, and make RuPaul more money, which I guess he can frack with. So
I'm always doing that.
This is completely stupid. Don't waste your money on Allstora. There are better ways to obtain queer books. There are better ways to obtain diverse books.
Nice. I mean, I have never liked RuPaul. RuPaul has always seemed like kind of a sharkish piece of shit to me. So it's not really surprising that something like this would happen. Though I guess it is kind of funny how transparent it is. From the article that we were looking at earlier, Platform's mission to protect, promote, and empower all storytellers through an equitable compensation model to uplift the voices of underrepresented groups, including queer people, women, and communities of color, has been questioned. The criticism comes from after users on Twitter exposed the site for listing books by authors known for their anti-queer stances, including titles by Riley Gaines, Robbie Starbuck, Kirk Cameron, and other books from conservative publisher Brave Books. No More Secrets, The Candy Cavern. That is an extremely ominous title. From Chaya Raichik. I know who that is. An online user posted a screenshot of Libs of TikTok's Chaya Raichik book available on the site, which the advocate could not find at the page later. So they took it down? She writes books. Basically, every conservative grifter right now has taken their run at like making a children's book. And the children's book message is always like, hey, don't be trans. If people ever say that trans is the thing, report them to police. Selling copies of Mein Kampf. And you get a membership discount for it? Nice. What are these prices, dude? $43.32 retail for Mein Kampf? It's like 100-year-old historical book. You could probably find earmarked like paperbacks of this for 30 cents. What, like, are these prices set randomly? There's a bunch of Mein Kampfs on here, you know? This is the official 1939 edition, but this one has the swastika on it, so you know they're talking about, you know, that Adolf Hitler. This one has the Ukrainian, you know, the Ukrainian flag colors, predicting Banderite action to the east. Yeah, got to get that collector's edition. Yeah, I get, you know, gotta get them all. An Allstora spokesperson declined to comment, but directed the advocate to a new FAQ page in the company's website. The page explains the company believes in the importance of understanding ideologies of hate to combat them effectively and likens its approach to that of university libraries and other online marketplaces by choosing to carry all books. What? Really? Allstora has introduced a community-led flagging system and committed to donating all proceeds from flag titles to support the fight against book ban of diverse literature, according to the company. All proceeds would just be the money that goes to you, not the money that goes to the author. Basically, you're saying, like, yeah, if people buy Hitler books or whatever, you know, they'll still get their side of the money, but our tiny cut of it, like, that'll go to fighting against book bans of diverse literature. Why a community-led flagging system? Why not check them yourself before listing them? Because this is a scam dropshipping organization. In fact, it wouldn't surprise me if they don't even have that much control over what they have on their site. It's possible that the code that they're using to sort of like rip the content of the other site to have their list of books that they can use, it's possible that like they don't want to tamper around with that code, or they don't want to like you know, edit it around too much. I don't know, man. You never know how like shoddily these organizations craft their grifts together. That's why I just pirate Mein Kampf. Yeah, don't support the creators. I wonder how much traffic this is actually going to get. Did you see who the GOP nominee for governor is? No, but I'm probably going to as soon as I open that link. Sick drip Vaush. I know. Thank you. Sorry. Yeah, let me see the original TikTok here.
Okay, y'all. I told you
Wait, is he really this quiet in the original audio?
I have a big announcement. Well, here it goes.
I guess so. Like, this is just the original audio that RuPaul posted, just has like half the decibels.
I have co-founded an online bookstore called Allstora. And honey, it is a blast. We are moving the conversation forward. Allstora is supporting authors. It is supporting you. All voices, everywhere. This is a platform that I am in love with.
Okay, gotcha. So he's not even the brains behind this organization. This is probably being done by some ghoulish Silicon Valley guy who was looking to make a buck off of like rainbow capitalist grifting, and he just like managed to pitch this to RuPaul and get enough money involved. Yeah, somebody paid RuPaul to put their name on it. 100%, yeah. I doubt RuPaul knows anything about or cares about or whatever else. You know, this whole thing. It's just no engagement whatsoever. It's so grim, man. Isn't it crazy how it took less than a century for basically all of the economy to be like, you want a product, you go to your local store, there's the product, you buy it, you go home, to this like labyrinthine nightmare of 16 middlemen trying to intercept the like process between you and the tiny, cheap bullshit doodad from a Chinese factory, you know? It's so weird. Does RuPaul not go with he, him? What? Yeah, RuPaul's a guy. Everything's a grift now. Yeah, that's the only way to make money anymore is to be a grifter. Wikipedia says he, she because he's a drag queen. Yeah. Total alienation speedrun. Yeah. Please don't use like Alibaba or Temu, guys. Please don't do that. Never have. Good. Keep it up. Cheap though. Yeah, it's cheap for a reason because it sucks. What about Shein, Shein, however it's pronounced? Yeah, not that either. A lot of the shit on AliExpress and Temu will just end up in a landfill. Oh, for sites like that and the stuff they produce, there is no relationship between production and consumption. Like, for a lot of the fast fashion clothing or a lot of the little doodads those factories make, they will just make an amount, and it doesn't matter how much they make because they're cheap and easy to make. They're basically free to make, and they upsell it like 100 times over to the West, to Western like markets. So all the stuff that doesn't get used just goes into a landfill. Yeah, all ends up in the Philippines. My conservative parents love Temu. The reason people like sites like Temu is because they gamify the process of shopping. The whole point of those apps is that you go on there and you're just bombarded with a constant like drip feed of sale, last order, get this now, blah blah, and the prices are so ridiculously low that it's like, oh, how can they afford to sell it this cheap? Because for one, it's free to produce practically. For two, you're buying it off slaves practically. And for three, you know, leaving all of that aside, a lot of the products that you're going to get are shit and you don't care about them, you know? It's retail therapy. In a dying world where people are spiritually sick and nobody gives a fuck about their neighbor, like they're sitting in their shitty suburban houses, like hunched over their phone, like, man, my life will be complete with this little like $2 like cozy that I can put around my coffee mug that has cat ears on it or whatever. But you don't care and you're not going to use it and you throw all that shit out. Do you have any idea how much shit we waste? It's fucking crazy. What's the difference between Temu and Walmart and Amazon? I mean, they're all doing the same thing to varying extents, but Temu is a lot worse about it. But like the underlying process is the case for all of them, yeah. Yeah, but the dopamine is keeping me going. No, it's not. It's not working. I'm sorry to hear that, the Radical Dino. Yeah, Walmart does, like, not everything Walmart sells is, like, drop-shipped or whatever, obviously. There's a lot of stuff they source just from regular retailers. So just use stores? Yes. Yeah, don't shop online. I'm not kidding. You'll have a better experience shopping if you don't shop online for most stuff. Yeah. They frown upon you shopping in stores in your underwear. That's just, don't, it's a social convention, okay? Don't fall for it. Shop in your underwear anyway. What about finding rare books? We're not talking about finding rare books. We're not... stop. What about this priceless Fabergé egg? It's the final one in my collection that can only be obtained from this... Like, I don't care. I'm talking about, like, regular shopping. People buy the weirdest shit, man. You don't need that. Shit is getting harder to find in person now, too. Yeah, and it's going to keep getting worse if everyone shops online. Nobody even likes shopping online. Nobody's happy. Have you noticed the kind of people who like shop obsessively, who do that retail therapy thing? Are any of them happy? Like this is one thing that I will actually plant my feet in the ground and defend. Okay, it's that whatever negative attributes you can slap onto my recent interest in fashion, I may buy expensive clothing, but I give a shit about it, right? I care about the process, the production. I try to know the people who actually made it. I try to go in and store it, to try it, to get an opinion on it. And when I have it, I care about it and I think about it well, right? It's not just like a constant drip feed or like a deluge of stupid bullshit that I buy once, never wear again. It's not like a fast fashion, like whatever, toss it out after one, I don't care, blah, blah. It's total nonsense, you know? A lot of people, they buy stuff and they just buy stuff because they have nothing else to do. You have no friends. You don't hang out with anyone. You don't have any hobbies. You don't have any creative skills. Your interest in media can be summed up by, I like putting stuff on in the background while I stare at my phone. Like, you don't, like, your life is empty. You're dead inside. And it's like, well, on Temu, at least I can get this $2, like, you know, attachment to my sink faucet that'll make the water do like a cool pattern sometimes, you know, maybe if it doesn't ship defective, which it will. That won't fix anything. It will waste your money though and contribute to like horribly unethical business practices. I'm operating in the assumption that people will generally do stuff that's convenient for them, even if it's unethical to do so, as evidenced by, you know, no ethical consumption under capitalism, blah, blah, blah. So with that in mind, I'm making this plea to you based on your own well-being, okay? It is not good for you to participate in those economic processes. Never mind the whole, like, economy broadly or all the slaves who do the work or anything else. It's not good for you. Why are you being so doomer about it? I'm not like you. I don't do retail therapy. I may have strong opinions on clothing, but there are lots of things I like doing with my time. I don't sit here in a like brain haze thinking like, oh, you know, maybe if I had this, I don't do that. The vast majority of the things that I buy are either stuff I have a very strong opinion on that I will care about, or like daily life necessities. I buy groceries. But yeah, no, it's not good for you. This isn't like a legitimate path to happiness. It doesn't actually improve your life or give you anything to care about or fixate on. It just is a very temporary distraction. You know, one of the biggest things that, like, this is, you could call this an externality, but, like, one of the things that people don't really account for when they're talking about the value of a product is how much you care about it, because it's inherently, like, not empirical, you know? But people are going to care a lot more about a little memento of a fun time they had or of a lost loved one than they're going to care about some other item of equal practical utility, because we put meaning into objects, right? There are lots of things that you can see just behind me that spark joy in my mind. Look at this chicken. I love him. To this extent, I guess I actually have a lot of respect for those, like, I don't know, ditzy, mentally vacant, like, plushy pastel girls who buy 50 trillion plushies to put on their bed, because at least they give a fuck about those. It's not all just like empty collection. People just buy so many goddamn doodads. If an item like you care about, if something makes you happy, then it's probably worth keeping around, right? Unless it's hurting you, you know. Like heroin, I guess. Don't keep that around. But it's also a thing with clothing, you know. Humans used to have 1 or 2 or 3 outfits because clothes are expensive and difficult to maintain, and most people were very poor for most of human history. You don't have very many clothes, like that's what you have, and for that reason people put a lot of care into their clothing. It was their clothing. They cared about it. They upkept it. People learned how to sew and how to tailor so they could maintain their clothes, or if necessary, make new ones from bolts of fabric they could obtain. Nowadays, you can buy t-shirts for like $6. They fit like shit. They feel like shit. They look bad on you. They don't reflect anything about you, but you bought them in a little brain haze and you're going to throw them out after 2 wears, you know? It's not just a fast fashion thing. People just don't care about this stuff. This is why it's an economic factor that doesn't get factored in economically, you know? What are people willing to pay for something they'll care about? Not just something that serves a given purpose. We don't just wear clothes to cover our bodies. If we did, we'd all just wear, you know, like pajamas all the time. There are social meanings, communication to clothing that we wear, or even the stuff we put in our house, the paintings we put in the wall. You will never get that feeling of satisfaction from doodads. You never will. Nobody ever has. It's not possible. You might find something that you like and it turns out to be like, I don't know, some cheap bullshit or whatever. That's fine, but that's not like a doodad first mental process. You just like the thing and it turned out to be a doodad. But if you're just looking through the doodad shop, buying a bunch of doodads, it's just, bleh. Like, it's not, there's no engagement with it mentally. It doesn't bring you any joy, but you obsess over it anyway, and it makes you miserable. So shop conscientiously. Shop conscientiously for your own soul, okay? Not just for, like, some bullshit saving the planet reason or whatever. Just care about the stuff that you buy. That's it. It'll make you happier. Have strong opinions on the stuff that you buy. Only buy things, non-essential things, of course. Buy your groceries. Only buy non-essential things if they, like, spark joy. It's a good life mantra. Please, politics. This is politics. Am I out of touch, or haven't I really experienced American consumerism? If you don't know what I'm talking about, then you haven't really experienced American consumerism.